2, 1. Hello, people of the internet.
Hello.
I sort of messed up the countdown there.
Yeah, what was that about?
I don't know. Thought that would be kind of fun. That's how Joe Rogan does it, don't you know? He does the countdown and then you hear him doing the countdown before the podcast starts.
I don't know that.
Oh. Watching Joe Rogan, are you?
Sometimes watch the highlights.
He's moved to Austin, Texas, which is pretty cool.
Saw that.
Good time to get out of California, which is like literally on fire. And I don't know how many of you out there have seen the red skies over San Francisco, but it looks like they are living on Mars now. And
I only saw it half an hour ago when you showed me because, as you know, I don't really look at the news anymore.
yeah, well, it's pretty incredible watching what's going on in California. This week, I saw that they had temperatures hitting like in Los Angeles, the temperature got to be 110 degrees Fahrenheit, which was like 43 degrees Celsius, and they're suffering rolling blackouts. Anyway.
Sounds amazing living in America these days.
Yes. But we're not having those problems, except it seems we are having some streaming problems already with our VPN.
It's a little wobbly, but it's staying up.
That's what she said. Aha. We are coming to you live from Shanghai, China, and of course, in order to do that, we have to use a VPN to hop over the Great Firewall. Cross your fingers. Hopefully, it'll remain stable today. Whatever you do,
Hype train.
whatever you do, don't dab or whatever it is that makes it happen.
Don't do it.
So if it does happen that we fall down, don't worry. We will switch around some wires over here and we'll come back again. Martin, what are we doing today?
Playing Madness Returns. We're going to look at some art. We're going to look at some plushy prototypes. We're going to do some prizes.
What are we giving away as prizes today?
It's a good one.
I had a fun idea today. Everyone can thank me for this fantastic idea.
Yeah.
Tell the people what they're going to win, Martin.
On the skull section of Mysterious, the winners will get their choice of one thing from this age that you can see.
So if they win, if Nightbot shines upon them, then they get to choose any one item from the skulls section over at Mysterious. Is that right? Including that weird carved skull that you're holding right now.
There it is.
It's very 2020 of us, very morbid.
Isn't it?
But yes, you'll be able to choose from a lovely selection of skull-related items. You could even get a skull skeleton toilet paper roll holder.
If you're lucky.
Yeah, well, if luck is on your side, just bribe Nightbot.
See, how many things is there?
I'd say that's
20 maybe.
Something items, yes. So anyway,
Not bad.
That's what you could potentially win today. That's just me being lazy. I didn't want to pick one thing, so I figured that if you win, you pick a thing. So there you go.
Who have we got?
A lot of
over
people,
here?
A lot of names in there. Patient 322, Asteria Visual, Dougie Fresh, Lucky
Dragon. Nabby Yang's here.
Arcadia the Executioner.
Wendy J's here. Silver Jinxed.
Wow.
Anyone new? What's that? Pick something? Cyber Demon Dante. I remember that one before. Octo Chicken. Hello to everyone.
Hello.
New and old.
Welcome back. So as Martin said, we are going to play some Madness Returns. I did post up over on Patreon yesterday about the fact that I went off to a meeting with a very large Chinese publisher. I don't mean like as in body large, like they were normal sort of, sized people, but they work for a publisher that is, I think, arguably probably the second largest game publisher in the world. So I did post up that everyone should wish me luck and cross your fingers and all that kind of stuff. And that meeting went really, really well. So today we're going to talk about as much of that as we can and also some of the implications of that meeting going well, because kind of weird, like when you came over this morning, you and I started to talk about this, and you'd think that my reaction to all this would be, yay, we did the thing we were trying to do. But
it's more complicated than that.
It's more complicated.
Apparently.
But it is good news. It's just news that requires a bit of consideration and careful navigation.
That's a good description.
There you
Careful navigation.
All right, so are we ready to start playing some Alice Madness Returns? Do you have any questions or comments that need addressing right now?
People just, talking about dabbing and the possible crappiness of the network.
Well, look, it's only doing 20 or 0 AB through right now.
We are losing.
Pretty sure now it's doing 10,000.
Yeah, it's wibbly wobbly, timey wimey.
Well, maybe we ought to reset it.
Not yet.
Martin, you've got a lot more faith in the VPN than I do.
You've got to have faith.
It's completely dropping frames over there. It's dying.
If you don't have faith in it, it won't perform to its maximum.
Is that what she said?
Yes.
Okay. All right, we're going to play some Alice Madness Returns. I feel like that volume is cranked up a bit too high. Is that our volume? Where's the desktop audio volume for that?
Be anywhere. Yep.
All right. Oh, that's the one. All right. Anyway, let us know if the volume is messed up here. And we're gonna play some Madness Returns. Where were we last time? I know I was being horrible. I was being terrible and not playing very well. Which
Jay's Black thinks you're still underwater.
Oh no!
Looks like you're still underwater.
This place. God, I just come on. Just everybody remind me when we start to do crowd design, and it's anything about water or anything that looks anything remotely like this, just remind me of how little I enjoyed this section. I think it's important though, like I need to make note of one of the issues with this section is how infrequent, how few and far between the sort of reset save points are, and do I have to do this whole thing over again?
Really?
This isn't that guy that... Oh, for F's sake. Come on. This is just lame. We already did this last time. Didn't it save?
Hype train. Again.
I don't care about the hype train. I don't
Give
want to
it a
play this...
woo-woo.
Shut up. Don't want to play this section of the game again.
Well...
This is terrible.
I'm also keeping an eye on... people still saying lag, this chart is looking fine, but that chart isn't looking fine. If it gets much worse, apparently we're dropping 30% frames. If it starts getting much worse, maybe we do a restart.
That's what I said.
You still got to give it a bit of chance.
I don't think so. For the record, I don't think we need to give the VPN a chance. I think we should be aggressively resetting it like right now, but that's just me apparently.
Right.
Yeah, so I don't really understand what happened here. We played this already. I remember playing this, I remember hating it, and I don't see why I'm having to play it again.
I'm assuming either it didn't save or there are several of these sections.
I feel like this is the exact same section that I hated so much last time we played through here. It's not much. It's kind of dumb of him.
Since I remember you beating him last time, you should be able to do it easily this time.
Yeah, we'll see. So, on Asylum progress, just as it relates to, like, getting into the core of the game design, I've been thinking about that a lot, because if you're following along over on Patreon, you know that there's been quite a bit of work getting done on some of the very kind of core critical narrative elements. And this week, working with Alex, working with Alex, I actually, now see, this doesn't make any sense. We actually got done with the sort of like a really complete finished start to finish kind of narrative, and something that I'm really, really happy with, and it's something that's come out of the it's something that's come out of these recent Patreon comments and posts that have to do with things that are very heavily spoiler related. So we're gonna have to talk about that later on in the stream, but it does have me thinking quite a lot about now going in and inserting some of these smaller gameplay sections. I don't know if you want to call them filler, because they're still going to be really critical and important, but filling in some of the areas like this, and that's what this is. Like, this is a section in the game that's not really heavily tied to the central story, which maybe is another one of the reasons why it's slightly annoying to me. It's like I know why we did this when we were building the game, is we were trying to fill out some content. But this is one of those sections that, like, if we'd had a bit more time to work on trimming the game, editing the game in the final month, I probably would have said that we should have cut a lot of this, or we should have at least adjusted a lot of this to be not so annoying. That's the right word.
Well, no game's perfect. You live and learn.
Well, according to Eurogamer, this game is less than perfect. They only gave us a 50.
What?
Yeah,
Come on,
so,
it's more than a 50.
Well, they had something up their bum that day. They had sand in a special place, as it were. So, yeah.
Right. Do you want to rewangle the server?
Has it died?
It hovered at 30% for a while, but it's getting worse. So.
Okay. Up to you, man. You're in control. Are the insane children complaining about?
Yeah, we've got a lot of Fs in the chat.
Okay. Well, I'm going to pause this, and we're going to break out of that. All right, everybody, hold on for a second. We are going to switch VPNs. Bye-bye, Los Angeles Supercharged. What do you reckon?
USA for China 5?
I think 2 always does us really well. Just give that a shot. So for those of you who are watching on YouTube, we've just fallen off the internet, but we're still recording, so when we upload this video, you'll feel like nothing's really happened at all. You're just still watching us be ourselves. But if you could, smash like to try to appease the VPN gods.
From the future.
From the future. That's how it works.
That connected pretty fast.
And, yeah, so we are going to tell everybody on Twitch here. We are back? I think we're back.
Well, what usually happens, I mean, yeah, came out pretty fast.
There you go. Yay! Whatever that is. USA for China. Somebody's saying you need NordVPN.
We actually don't.
We don't. NordVPN is not good.
Not here, anyway. It kind of was, and then wasn't. It's
Hey,
up and down.
No! Are you kidding me? Steam just told me I've got to re-log in.
Get bent.
Get bent, Steam, but it caused me to take damage. Oh, man. Okay, now if I die, we're blaming it entirely on Steam and not on my being really terrible at my own game. Get over there. Oh, no, now don't get over there.
Well, the new VPN is better, but it's not perfect. It's still up and down a bit, so we'll stick with it.
Well, so the reason I was mentioning the story stuff is that this section is very much one of those sections where outside of sort of the core narrative stuff, we basically were coming up with little bits of narrative, side narrative, and trying to give the player stuff to do. And I would argue that, I'd argue that I'd rather not be doing this stuff. If given a choice, Come on, get out of there! Oh, for F's sake, stupid slugs! I'd really rather not be doing this. This is terrible.
Come on, man, you did it last time. Use your muscle memory. What have we got?
You're the one who breaks controllers. What were you saying you were playing that caused you to throw the controller?
I've never thrown a controller.
You broke a disc or something.
Yeah, I snapped Bloodborne in disc in half.
Well, I feel like snapping this in half. I don't even think we have a disc for this, though.
And I've punched holes in a cupboard door. And I have done the old twist of the controller until it creaks and groans. But I've never actually destroyed one.
I reckon they're pretty hard to destroy. I would imagine that Sony and Microsoft probably go through a fairly serious testing phase to make sure that you can't easily break their controllers.
You'd hope. Hope you do not get stuck here for the remainder of the stream. I'm sure you won't.
No, because we've got a lot to cover today. Now, one of the things is we actually don't have that much by way of concept art to cover, because the art team has been kind of dividing their time across a number of different projects, and some of the team are kind of still in the middle of doing illustrations. So they haven't turned in as many deliveries this week, or since the last live stream, as would be, as I'd usually like for a live stream. Sometimes we have like a giant folder full of stuff. Today we don't really have a giant folder full of stuff. That's not to say that we haven't been staying busy. Just that sometimes we don't produce as much content, art review content, every 2 weeks. I think that the summer thing also kind of messed us up a bit. Like, I haven't seen as much art from Dario these days, I think because he was on a bit of an extended holiday.
Right.
But we do have a bunch of story stuff to cover. Again, those are the posts over on Patreon about the story.
Yep.
Hey now, that was rude.
Get him, get him!
I'm getting him! What does it look like I'm doing?
Get him one more time, that'll do.
It doesn't really do. He just keeps being a underwater a-hole.
Yeah. Have I ever played this game? No. As it happens.
Well then,
go
be
figure.
Quiet. Stop giving me grief about when I'm playing
I have played games.
Maybe it's a lot harder than you think it is.
Maybe it is.
Didn't last time we did this, somebody else also said that this section was very, very, very frustrating
Yeah,
for
somebody
them?
in the chat has mentioned that.
Yeah, so I'm not the only one.
Nabi Yang wants to see me play Curse of the Moon 2 on veteran mode. No idea what that even is.
Oh, come on. Now what's happened? It's just frozen up, I swear.
I've got a good feeling about this one. I think you're going to do it.
I don't think that you know what you're talking about. You clearly haven't been watching me play.
Well, I'm trying to watch you and the chat.
Come on, get over there, whack him, whack a sailor. Oh, come on.
The seahorse bit is annoying.
Everything is annoying.
Combat is easy and fun.
The whole thing is annoying.
What's the seahorse bit?
The stupid glowing seahorse that we've got to follow through the darkness.
Oh, right.
If you fall behind, look at this. I'm down to almost no health.
It's half a rose.
I'm gonna die, I'm telling you. And we're just gonna end the stream. Now I wish the VPN would quit.
No, it's looking pretty solid.
Come on, this could be it.
Get him! Get him!
Oh, Jesus Christ! Oh, it was horrible. Please never make us play this again. Please.
This much trouble?
You have to play it next time after it doesn't save.
Why did it make us do that all over again?
See, though, I said, I knew it. I had a feeling. I could tell you were going to do it.
Okay, so now one of the things here is don't get too far in front of that glowing flashlight seahorse.
Yeah.
Flashlight seahorse. Oh, man. Am I the only one? Is the chat with me on this, or they just all think I'm R-word?
Uh-oh.
What's uh-oh?
Do you use a controller? Yes. Xbox controller down here. Didn't you quit last time after falling off?
I don't remember.
Yeah, we don't remember.
Oh, no.
Kill the sailor again.
I hope not. I seem to have made it back to the place where I was. Okay, well, I'm dead.
That would be terrible, wouldn't it, if you had to go back and fight him again?
Don't tell me that. Really, really don't tell me that. No. Is that really what's going to happen?
That can't be what's going to happen.
It apparently is what's going to happen. You know, I have to say my patience is wearing very thin. I don't know if I'm going to be able to finish playing Madness Returns this time. If it makes me fight this sailor one more time, I'm going to be really, really sad. Oh, dude, come on.
Who would design such a game?
So is the chat with me on this, or am I really alone in my grief?
No, bit tea time. W Hatter says this level is frustrating.
Frustrating is not really the word I think that we're going for here.
Juvia Melissa, this is definitely the most annoying level of the game.
It's terrible.
American rage quits his own game.
I do! You would too!
I might. What are the buttons?
What are the buttons?
Well, if I can look at what the buttons are, then I could give it a try.
Oh boy. Yeah, I think that's gonna really go very well, Martin. You just randomly pick up the game midstream in the most difficult section, period, and then you're gonna show me how to do it, huh?
Might.
Oh man.
That you move slow in focus mode. So
Yes, I know
stop focusing so much.
I know we move slow in focus mode, but you have to focus on this guy. You have to focus on his dumb bombs. Come on. Oh, I hear Lucky screaming upstairs.
A little bit.
Yeah.
Didn't close the door.
I couldn't, because that would wake him up.
Alexander Harper, I beat the game on Nightmare. This was the most difficult part, hands down.
Well, Alexander, I wish you were here to show us how it's done, because I am... Oh, come on. I am not doing well here. And I am getting very frustrated, to be honest. I find this incredibly frustrating.
What difficulty are you on?
Doesn't matter.
Living well, living hell, ponders.
It doesn't matter. I'm on a difficulty that is not suiting me very well, and I'm pretty sure it's I'm on you know, easy, normal, something along those lines. Look, there's no question that I'm not good at this. I'm not trying to deny that. It's my own game. I'm not very good at the control scheme. I've said many times that the lock-on to me is very counterintuitive. I prefer a hold, you know, a press and hold lock-on, and then you let go and you're not locked on anymore. I don't like this this toggle lock-on.
Yeah.
Okay, there he is. Let's go and give him a 1-2.
One.
Well, see.
Plant the clockwork bomb in the center. The slugs will head there. Don't explode it immediately.
Right.
Then just try to get the sailor when he's able to hit. So the slugs are attracted to clock bombs.
Yes. Now, okay, we cleared that. Now, we need to get through... See, now, here's the thing. After that, you should have a save. Right? There should be an auto-save after that. And not only should there be an auto-save after that, I believe that... you know, what's happened is we don't have any sort of lives left, right?
Mm-hmm.
So if I fail this, that's it. It's just, that's it. You're just done. And that's not great. It is not a good thing. Whee! Does anybody know how long this section goes on before before we do reach a save point? That's a good question.
Let's see.
You know, so what killed me here last time is the shonky camera controls, where I'm jumping into those steam vents, and it's actually ripping the camera direction away from the direction I need to jump in. And I know that's like a known issue in the game as well, so that's a bit annoying.
You've got to fight the sailor 3 times.
Oh, come on.
Every time it gets harder.
That can't be...
It can't be true.
Is that the hardest one, or is there more? I feel like we've fought other sailors already. Have we not?
Apparently, if you die from a fall, it's fine. You'll respawn after the sailor. Because you died from losing energy in the dark, it considers it an enemy.
Oh.
Maybe, if I'm reading this.
Yep. I just let myself fall to death there, and it's that's an interesting thing. Okay. Well, hopefully then we can play through this and get through this. That's a good note. That's a very good note to know that running out of health as a function of being damaged by... Come on! As a function of being damaged by that thing is... See? You see what the camera's doing?
The chuffing nutbag is going on.
It's the camera!
Well, at least you now know how to not...
You know, no
Go
wonder
before the sailor
Eurogamer
again.
gave it a 50. I understand now, Eurogamer guy. Man. Literally, when you're jumping between these
50's
things,
harsh.
that is harsh. But I mean, I listen. Right now, if you ask me to write a review of this game, I would give it a 50. So this is what I'm telling you.
It's back.
What?
Fall quickly.
What's going on? Where was I even? We're never gonna make it out of here. Oh my god. Why does anybody trust me to make another game when I clearly I don't know what I'm doing? We made this.
Because this time you've got me. I know.
Oh,
I know games.
But look at the way it's ripping the camera position out of my hands every time I try to make that jump. It takes the camera position away from me. Terrible, terrible. And it might be actually trying to auto-orient to the position I need to be going, but it's doing such a bad job of it. Oh boy. Now, this is a pain in the butt. I'm waiting. I'm waiting.
What system are you guys playing on?
A PC.
A PC system.
What kind of question is that? How does that make any difference?
Martin, have you watched The Boys? I have. Season
we like
2
The
started.
Boys. Yeah, I know. I need to...
There's only 3 episodes so far. I know you prefer a season to finish before you start watching, don't you?
Yeah. What's going on here? I feel like I'm not clear on where I'm supposed to be going.
Oh, the seahorse.
I'm trying.
Yes, The Boys is excellent. Where are you?
My
Why? Big Yan throat.
Hey, why?
Why indeed?
Oh God, how far back did this start me?
We did have some buffering, but not a lot. It's fine. Yes, it was a good 3 episodes. It was a good start to season 2. So yeah, look forwards to that in the future.
I like it a lot, but I have to say The Boys fits into the category of sort of like things that are so dark. Is that there's not a lot of light in the Okay. I remember that's where I quit last time. We're gonna give away a prize. That'll make me feel better. All right, everybody. What's the question, Martin?
The question is, should American continue after the prize giveaway? Do you want to see him suffer some more? Or has he had enough?
No. We have to get through this. But yeah, go ahead and... No, I think a better question is, on a scale of 0 to 10, 0 being awful, how bad is American at his own game? I think that's a fair...
Well, it can't be a 0 because we've seen you finish it before. Seen that be a thing.
Did you just see what happened?
I did see that. I really hope that didn't...
It did. Steam just closed it. Steam just closed the game. So that means if I go back to start playing again, it's going to start it all over.
Oh, jeez.
It's going to start all over at the... Did you see that?
I did.
They didn't see that.
7,
Look,
4,
look,
6.
Steam error reporter just popped up.
Indeed
So what you all did
23.
what you all did not just see is that we took emphasis away from the game. There was a Steam, some sort of window up there about credentials, and yeah, the whole thing shut down, and it popped up an error, and so...
And when it loads again, where's it going to put you?
Right back with that terrible... Let's see. Okay, let's let Nightbot do the thing.
Go on, then.
Here we go. 3, 2, 1. And you say that.
And Cinex 726.
Okay. And Cynex 726. You just won the prize. Now, should they pick their prize here live on the stream? I feel like they should.
It don't have to. They can just do it when they send the message to us.
All right, well, that's boring. But anyway, Ansinex says they did not expect to win, but if you do know what you want, go ahead and tell everybody so everybody knows what kind of prizes are being given out. You do want to go over to Mysterious, and there's an area called Collections/Skulls, and you can pick any one of those things from that page. But whatever it is, just make sure it doesn't make me play that effing level again. I think I'm going to have to play that by myself now, just to get through it, so that the next time we stream, we're not just doing the same. Because we were stuck in that the last time as well.
It really was.
I'm not going to do that again on the stream. It's terrible.
Did we tell Ansinex what to do?
Go for it.
Send an email to support@mysterious.design with your name and address and telephone number formatted correctly on separate lines. Not one long line, that would be poop. Tell us you won the prize, tell us which one of the skull things you want, and do that within the next 24 hours, or we're not going to send you anything. Don't be messaging us in like 6 months' time, remembering that you won something once.
So didn't you just get an email from somebody who backed Out of the Woods, the Kickstarter, 3 years ago, who just wrote and said, "Hey, I forgot to tell. I forgot I even backed this. Send me my stuff."
And the thing is, for like a year after that finished, BackerKit was automatically sending out reminders. So I've been telling anyone that writes in that they received at least a dozen reminders from us.
They did.
But you know, some people have aggressive spam filters. We can't control people's inboxes.
Too bad.
So,
Imagine the power of being able to control people's inboxes. All right, so we're going to go through and review a bunch of stuff. I'm actually going to start with Plushy Dreadfuls, because I think, like, Oz stuff, Alice stuff, we need to talk a bit about the meeting yesterday. That's a bit more complicated, and then we'll do the spoiler stuff at the end. So anyway, as many of you know, we are working on a line of plush toys we are calling Plushy Dreadfuls. This was inspired off of the work we did with like a Cheshire Kitten plush and a little White Rabbit plush. Those things did really well. So we thought, hey, let's expand the line and let's make a whole series of Dreadful plush toys. And so yeah, we've got production samples coming in now. One of the ones that's come in but we don't have in our hands, but that's work in progress with the factory, is the Pig in Wolf, which you have the previous prototype there in your hands. So they took a bunch of the feedback that like we provided and our Insane Children provided, and they sent along these photos of an updated variation version of the Pig in Wolf. But there's still quite a few things that they did not get right, and I chatted with Yin about that this morning. That there's some pretty critical things. Two that I'll just point out really quickly. These eyes are supposed to be X's.
Yeah.
And yeah, so I think that's gonna get changed. I even saw Yin send the note to the factory this morning and say, "Hey, WTF." The other thing you'll note that the pig or the wolf now has a nose kind of stitched on, but this nose area is still massively overstuffed.
It's too big, that isn't it?
Yeah.
What's going on there?
Not good.
No.
So, you have the previous one hold up there just for scale. This thing did turn out
massive.
It's huge.
Look at that.
It's bigger than your
Next
head.
to my head.
But they are turning out really nicely. That one is cool. I like how if you fold it back, there's actually a pig in there, right? Like a little pig stuffed inside the wolf.
Good.
So that's pretty cool. I like him a lot.
Material back there.
So I think we're expecting a number of revisions to this. Now you'll note some of the changes they did make. Like if you compare A and B, the color on the nose is a little different. Instead of embroidering on the little cheeks, they've actually done a kind of a little paint job, like a soft paint. So there are things happening. They know they need to turn the claws black. But yeah, that's progressing quite nicely. I'm very happy to see that. Now, I was very sad to learn that one of my favorites, which is the bare-fisted bear, they hadn't even started work on somehow. I wish there was something more fun to show with relation to that. to talk about. Like, I like when they screw up visually, and then we can show off how they screwed up because it's kind of funny. But when they just screw up and they forget to make something, that's not as much fun. But they are now mass producing these two. So there's a angry. No, not that. Get that out of here. So they're mass producing these two. This is the angry bunny. And these new bunnies have got exceptionally long ears.
Wow.
So I think they can fly almost. But so the angry bunny, which is something like, Trent Reznor probably would own 5 or 6 of these. And then there's the love bunny, which clearly Martin has an affection for. But he's sort of a broken heart love bunny. He's got heart stitch on the front. Well, he's not really broken. He's just broken, but he's still love. Who knows?
Yeah.
And then Yin has been working on these bags. So the love bunny is going to come in this love bag.
The bag.
And then, if you've ordered our plushes before, you know what they are. There's like a pocket inside. There's a zipper.
Good that.
And then the angry bunny is going to come in this angry bunny bag. So we expect these 2 bunnies will be added to the Mysterious shop in about a week's time, I think. And there's a placeholder over on Mysterious. If you want to be on the mailing list when they go into the shop, you can go sign up for that. Don't know if the Love Bunny has a placeholder, but I know this thing does. So anyway, those 2 will arrive first, followed by the Wolf Pig thing will probably come next month in October. And then they're working on the Bare-Fisted Bear and the Pandapede and something else that they're working on. So yeah, it's a bunch of cool plush toys getting made as we speak. So I think there'll be plenty of those in the shop if you want to order those for Christmas or whatever.
Speaking of that bunny, could mention next month's Patreon.
Go ahead.
Yeah. Our Patreon, as many of you know that we have a Patreon, at the $75 level, if you join at that level before October, which means you will be charged in October, that means you will get a signed art print. If it's your first time doing that, a chaos necklace, and the Angry Bunny and Angry Bunny bag.
There you go.
All at once.
That's a lot of stuff.
That is quite a good bargain for the $75 level.
That is
next month.
That's a huge amount of stuff.
So that would potentially be a way for you to get the bunny and some extra stuff on the cheap if you wanted to.
We kind of have a problem though, because how are we gonna layer in? We've been making a lot of stuff, and the timing of it's like somehow all aligning in the same month. So if you have followed along on Patreon, you'll also know that we've got this calendar in production that looks like this. So this is the latest version. I didn't post this one up over on Patreon. Alex just sent this over, was it last night?
Yep.
I think last night. So it's the 2021 Insane Children's Calendar. He changed that? Wasn't it Bladeface before?
It was.
Oh.
We always said it was going to be Alice and Snail.
We did?
We did.
Oh, I don't know. Yeah, it looks good. And he added a bunch of satanic rune business there.
He did.
I think that's supposed to make sure that 2021 is not as crappy as 2020. I think that's what that says in Satan script or something.
I hope so.
So what kind of changes did you guys finally end up making on this?
The major ones was the front cover changing to snail instead of blade face, and we completely removed sunflowers and put flamingo in instead.
Ooh.
And there was a few little formatting bits and bobs here and there, nothing major.
So I know like somebody, maybe so a few of our Insane Children, like Wendy J and a few others, mentioned that, you know, when you look at these PDFs, if you use Google Chrome or you use anything that's based on Chromium engine, then you're going to get these little weirdnesses. I recommend you look at this in a proper Adobe product like a PDF Viewer or Acrobat, because when you look at it in a proper Adobe product, you don't get these weird black, not filling in properly zones.
Yeah.
But you do get those, because I'm looking at this in a web browser right now. But if you look at this in a PDF Viewer or in Adobe Acrobat, it looks perfect and fine and no problems.
Yeah.
So what's it got? He's got New Year's Day in there.
He's got Valentine's Day as well, but he's called it something else, like Heart Day or something.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, there it is.
Called
February 14th.
Day of Hearts. Oh,
Yep.
Okay.
The Fire. Alice's Fire Day is in there.
Which would be like, I think it's May something.
It's quite late in the year, isn't it? Because there
her
was
birthday is
snow.
her birthday is in May.
Right. That's about it, really. We just got like lunar
There's Alice's birthday.
stuff.
Right.
Yeah, he's not put other. Oh, Halloween's in there, I think.
I asked for Halloween. I remember that. It does have the moon phases in there. So the problem is we're kind of overloading or stacking up stuff, physical stuff. We didn't really do it on purpose, but it just so happens that like the delivery of some of the physical stuff we've been working on all seems to be aligning around the end of the year. But this one we're going to do kind of differently. We're just going to put it in the Mysterious Shop, and then we're going to put a discount code on Patreon.
Backer Kit have actually come back to us, and they've set up the project.
Oh, that's not what people wanted.
We'll discuss this after the stream then, whether we're still doing Backer Kit or not.
Okay, we need to decide that. Because, I mean, I think everybody right now has agreed that they like the idea that they could just get a discount code off of Patreon.
Right.
Yeah, so maybe you should tell Backer Kit they were just too damn slow.
All right.
I do see a couple of comments here, like Jays Black 62 says, I vote on having Alice relevant dates. Well, Jays Black, the voting for that is basically over. This is basically the finished, done.
Yeah, we had a little round of feedback stuff, didn't we, about a week ago over on Patreon. But yeah, it's done now, really. There's a few teeny tiny errors to fix up, and then it's done.
We had everybody talking about this on Patreon for the crowd design stuff, and we were saying, you know, we could include a bunch of holidays, and then a lot of people were saying, we'll just include all of the holidays for everybody in the world. But, you know, if you did that, then there would literally be a holiday every other day of the month. And I know that because, like, for instance, I lived in Hong Kong. I think Hong Kong and Singapore are two of the places that have the most holidays crammed into their calendars because they have to honor or respect so many different Western, Chinese, and multiple religion holidays and events. And so when you look at a Hong Kong or a Singapore calendar, man, they're just crammed full of all kinds of stuff. So we didn't want to do that. So we intentionally left out. I thought we were leaving out all of the holidays except Halloween, but I guess Valentine's slipped in there somehow. And then some of the very significant Alice dates. Again, we could have put quite a few Alice dates in there, but we didn't want to clutter up the calendar. I prefer something kind of minimalistic and clean.
Yeah, it still is. But yeah, I reckon... Do you think if you tried hard enough, there would be a special day on every day of the year in the calendar? In some part of the world.
Well, no, but you understand, like, yesterday was World Electric Car Day. So, right. You know, it just depends on how deep you want to dig and whether or not you want to... Who do you recognize as being the decider, the arbiter of what is a special day? Back at Spicy Horse, we used to have, jokingly, for the first 2 or 3 years of the company's existence, there was a kind of like Atom Day that was a jokey, everybody got the day off in celebration of one of the guys in the studio, just something goofy about him. I can't even remember what it was. Like I think he disappeared quite often or something, so we decided that like on one day of the year everybody should get to disappear, so we would have this one day jokingly celebrating his disappearance by all of us disappearing. So somebody says you should include the insane children's birthdays for some fan inclusion. Again,
there's a lot of insane children.
There's over 3,000 current patrons.
Yeah, each day would have like 10 people in it or something.
That's not going to work. So again, we decided on, intentionally made this where it's as simplistic and clean as possible, because look, there's no way to win if you start putting some people's holidays in there and not some others, and somebody's going to get offended. And so, I mean, my feeling was just go with the satanic stuff, like Halloween and the day that Alice's house burnt down, and then it's just, who's going to complain about that? That's just, whatever. So
Like on the fire day, Alex has added a little flame on that box. It's quite cool.
I like he's got
wherever it is.
Skull face on Halloween there.
It's almost as if he knows what he's doing.
The month of October is good. I like that month. I would want to just have it be that month all the time.
There it is. Fire day.
Woo! Day of the fire.
Look at it.
It's got blood and everything. You know, it would have been cool if he'd like just very lightly written "save yourself" or something. You know, save yourself, Alice, across there. Anyway, that's good. Celebrate the death of Alice's family. It's very sweet of us.
Yeah.
It turned out great. So, how's this going to work? We have to decide if it's backer kit or a code.
Are backer kit going to get upset with us if we told them to set up a project and then we don't use it?
Are our insane children going to get upset with us if we told them that was going to be a discount code and we don't do that? This is the question. So, you decide who you want to anger. Who do you want to anger, Martin?
Probably backer kit. At the end of the day, the insane children would still be getting the same thing for the same money, just via a different method.
Okay.
Yeah, we'll probably not go with backer kit, I guess.
Somebody there, Wendy J, says, do the discount code because it's easier and backer kit should have been quicker about it. Yeah, I agree. The other thing about the discount code is we can allow the discount code to run for, say, 2 months or until the start of 2021, at which point we won't be selling the calendar anymore. And so, I don't know, could be something like that as well.
And it is going to be first come, first served, is it not? Because we're obviously not going to be printing infinite amounts.
How many are we going to print?
Ooh, we've quoted for 1,000.
Wow, those are gonna go away fast.
Always get a bit more.
I think we might have to get a bit more.
1,500.
I don't know. We're gonna have to figure that out.
10,000.
Don't think we need that many. All right, so that's the calendar. That was in our art folder there. So we also we've got the plushies. What's going on there?
Looking at the time.
What time is it? I did skip over this. This was something Jennifer sent along. It is a homunculi. Homunculi. There's a book by that title I read some years ago, but I can't completely remember what it was about. But anyway, she did write up and say that she thought this would be a fun toy that would combine together our love of all things satanic and alchemy and all these freaky symbols, and that there would be, I don't know, just a plush toy with long arms along these lines. She did write up quite a bit about this on Monday, but I spaced it now. Say,
right.
I feel like this thing's not sort of weird enough. I don't know. I'm curious to know what
is
everybody.
it?
Well, it just says it right there. It's a homunculi.
But a homunculi of what?
She wrote up that it's a. Where is it? Don't know exactly where she put this. Rabbit plush toy. Trying to find where she put it because I know she put it in a folder somewhere.
Is she here? Didn't see her in
plush
chat.
Series. I thought I saw her.
Did you? All right.
She's got that green pig in there. Oh, I missed. We need to make that thing. The tentacles coming out of the mouth.
Blech.
What's wrong with that? And this one was great. We still need to make that. There's quite a few we need to work on here. She did a lot of different concepts. I never really felt like we nailed it for Humpty Dumpty. We do have the knife, and we still need to work on the knife.
Humpty Dumpty's a difficult one.
Yeah. And then she's got to adore me. Anyway, that was the other plushy dreadful, sorry, that I skipped over. Omri's done a photo shoot. So he found somebody in his area to be a model, and he got a photography studio, and they did a shoot, and then they did something around one of Yin's products, which is a black leather butterfly purse. Anyway, that was for marketing purposes, but it did come in this week, so I thought we'd just...
I think that would do very well. Throw that up on Facebook marketing.
That's
an excellent picture.
That's what it's for. So I think those bags are in the shop. I think
They are.
They are, okay. So yeah, those bags are in the shop. Anyway, that's pretty cool. Omri did his photo shoot and did some pretty cool looking Pretty cool looking marketing images. Okay, I think I've gone through all that stuff. Right. So we're going to talk about yesterday's meeting. Or are we going to talk about the Alice spoiler stuff? Maybe let's start with the yesterday's meeting.
Go on then.
Okay, so yesterday, I'm going to put this art up on the screen. By the way, this is not our art. I don't know whose art this is, but I was putting together a folder full of things to inspire the team around the Oz concept. And basically, I was just giving them reference art for them to go and create their own artwork. So this was a piece of that reference art for the Oz concept. So yeah, that's going to be on the screen while I talk about our meeting yesterday. So as I posted up over on Patreon, yesterday I went off to a meeting here in Shanghai. The company I met with is one of the largest game companies in the world. I can't say their name, but if you go look up, sort of the top 5, and by the way, the top 5 is mostly Chinese companies because they make a lot of money.
They do.
On games. But historically, for me anyway, in the past, when we've gone to talk with Chinese publishers, very few of them are genuinely interested in AAA console, story-driven, those types of games. So it was with some surprise. I've been getting emails from this company for a while from their headhunters, and they've been kind of expressing interest that I could come and join their team somehow or another. But I want to stay independent, so I mostly ignored those emails. But yesterday was their invitation to go sit down and talk about what it is that I'm working on and what do we want to work on. And I had sent to them all of the documents that you've seen us working on or on Patreon. That's the pitch decks. These are outlining our ambitions for Alice Asylum and for building a new studio and like what that studio would be, where it would be, who it would be, and they love this. So the first part of the meeting, the first major takeaway is that they are huge fans, and that they want to see they want to support me in making something that I want to make. That was repeated several times. They're very interested in what it is I'm passionate about. And of course, I'm very passionate about Alice. So we did spend quite a lot of time talking about the reality of the situation around Alice, the fact that it's owned by EA, and some of the difficulties that this company may have in trying to work with EA, where, how do you say that? Basically, they don't want to write just a giant check to EA, and for them, that won't feel very satisfying to write a big check to EA so that we could go and start something scratch. What they're more interested in is putting us in a position to build a studio around a first project, which wouldn't necessarily be Alice, and then going back to actually get full control of the Alice IP, so that in their vision of this, EA is sort of pushed aside forever.
Right.
Now that doesn't mean EA doesn't get money out of the deal. They would. But it does mean that going forward, EA would no longer be at the table deciding about the future of the IP. But in order to get there, these guys are suggesting that we don't just go in and make an offer to just straight up buy the IP tomorrow. Instead, they want to see that the team that we've proposed here is viable and can make good products on a smaller scale first, and then they would go to do that.
Ramping up. Don't just jump in both feet first, straight off.
So it's funny because that's actually exactly the way that we started Spicy Horse. If you look at the history of Spicy Horse, we were started on an investment from a company called GameTap, which was owned by Time Warner. GameTap was a subscription games service, and we built Grimm. And Grimm was built for it was built for $3 million US, which was the money that we used to start Spicy Horse from scratch. And then once we had got fairly well into the production on Grimm, we were able to hold up what we had done for inspection, and we were able to then secure more money to build Alice Madness Returns. So that same model is essentially what's being proposed by the people we met with yesterday. So what they did is task us with going off and reformatting this pitch about our studio, about our team, where it would describe that first project. And what they're asking us to do, and the budget they're proposing is good. It's greater than the amount of money we were given for Grimm, for example. And their expectation is that the first thing we would build with this studio would be another Twisted Fairy Tale. It would be something that is AAA, but it wouldn't necessarily be like a 16-hour or even a 10-hour, but it might be a relatively small scale AAA experience. You know, say it's like 8 hours or something like that.
Yeah.
So,
when DJ is concerned that you might be violating an NDA with all this talk.
You know, in this case, there's no NDA in place with the guys that we're talking to. I'm being cautious. So this was one of the points I touched on with you this morning. I'm being cautious because I don't want to tip too much of the hat and the strategy to the people at EA who might be listening to this too early, because it is still very early. And I think that we've got quite a bit of work to do. We still have a pitch to make. We still have a group to convince to make the first step of this happen. Now, the second step, the going back to resume a negotiation with EA wherein some larger deal gets done, that might now not happen for like another year. At which point I assume that this live stream and anything we say here probably be lost in the sands of time. So it's not that big of a deal, but I don't want to just put the name out there about this company just yet. They didn't ask for me to sign an NDA. I don't know that they would care if I mentioned their name, but for the sake of not tipping our hat too much just yet, I'm gonna not do it. So yeah.
So yeah, in terms of signing things, this is all just talk right now, isn't it? Nothing's set in stone or stamped and sealed.
When you go to one of these meetings, it's not like you sit down. I mean, we met in a Starbucks, right? Because they had flown up from the city in China where their headquarters is based, and so we met in a Starbucks next to the hotel where they're staying. And it's not like they come to these meetings and go, right, here's the deal, sign it. You know, no, I mean there's a little more to it than that. On both sides, we're going to have to try to figure out how to negotiate this. Because there's a lot of things at issue. One of the things is, what do they invest into? And I mean that in terms of a legal vehicle, like an entity. Some of the other issues is when they invest into something, what exactly do they get? Because contained inside of Mysterious right now, there's a lot more than just our planning for a new Alice game or for any new game. There's stuff like the Plushy Dreadfuls, as a piece of IP that's contained inside of Mysterious right now. So, some of the questions that are going to come up have to do with, if they make an investment in a new development studio, what is that studio? Is it under the same umbrella as Mysterious, or is it something different? And of course, we still very much need to just set out our plan for what the first project is. Now, my proposal is that it would be an Oz game. Again, this piece of art is not ours. I pulled some artwork to give inspiration to the team around what I have in my mind for what the world might look like. And we've been noodling on a number of different ideas. If you've been following around on Patreon, you'll know there have been character designs that have got done. There have been different story notions that have been proposed. And everybody's just kind of doing their own thing right now. But in the coming weeks, we're going to have to really drill down on what exactly this world looks like, what the story is. Now, the thing I'm interested in, here's some art that Omri did. So he's been working on some art based on the first variation of the story where Oz is this sort of lost land, and then it ends up being purchased by Apple or Epic or something and turned into a sort of theme park, and then the theme park goes all wrong. So he had done some art around that. I felt that he was doing kind of a little, he for sure was trying to do some 70s style stuff. He was doing some dystopian broken stuff. He just recently did this. I don't think I even had a chance to share this, but he's been playing around with different ideas for a Dorothy main character. Got some flying monkeys in there. For me, this rendition of the world of Oz, the backgrounds, feels too much like the films, and it feels too much like what we expect. And I'm just not that thrilled by the world itself.
Right. Yeah, that big old green structure is very film-like, isn't it?
It's very
if my
much
memory
like
serves me correctly.
So what I have in my mind, and I've written this up. There's quite a bit I wrote to the guys and the girls to explain what I have in my mind. But if you imagine that what Jurassic Park did as a story was present a world in which we could run alongside dinosaurs, and it was a sort of sudden like, oh man, here we are running alongside dinosaurs. My notion for Oz is the arrival of characters in a place where like, oh man, magic is real, and but they're just like us. They may be plane crash survivors or boat wreck survivors, but they wash up on the shores of this place. Now the place is abandoned mostly. It's all in ruins. Something's clearly destroyed the civilization that was living there previously, and as these people go to try to explore and they want to try to find a way to get off the island and save themselves, they start stepping all over the mystery and unraveling all of the clues at the same time that they start picking up magic that leads to, what is the adventure? What is it they're trying to survive? Again, none of this art is from our team. This is all stuff I pulled as reference. I apologize if the credits are not on all of the images. Like, this does have a credit on the screen. But again, this was me trying to find reference images for what I thought the world might look like. Now, so this is some of the stuff that I was showing the guys we met with yesterday. I explained the premise to them, and they liked this very much. So I think that, again, what we're going to be working on in the coming weeks is just tightening up the presentation of the story and the world, and then also the pitch for the studio. Where is the studio located? Who's inside of the studio? What is the plan for the spending of the money over the course of some years in the future? And then also the transition into working on a new Alice game, because this is all linked up. It's all one big plan, I guess you'd say.
Yeah. Which feeds into what you were saying earlier. Because it's so complicated, because there's so much behind the scenes, this affects that, that affects the other. That's why you just don't sign something sat in a Starbucks.
You don't just sign something sat in Starbucks. With GameTap, it was funny. They sent $3 million to China, and I never met them in person. Like, that very rarely happens, right? I never met GameTap in person. We did the whole deal online over the phone, and they sent money for me to start a studio, and that was a lot of trust that they put into me. So that's good.
Yeah.
Somebody's saying we should be doing a giveaway.
Talking important stuff. Don't worry, we won't forget the giveaway.
Yeah, Jeef K says, meeting potential publishers, showing them other studios' artwork, profit. Actually, I didn't show the guys yesterday any of this. This is the stuff I'm showing our team internally as reference for what I want them to do, the direction I want them to go. So if I said that I showed this to the publishers yesterday, I misspoke. I showed them our PDFs, the stuff that you've seen on Patreon. So they got to see all of this stuff. Yeah. And there's probably there's probably 5 or 6 of these. And I showed them also like the little Yorkie, Corgi, whatever, the flying bat thing, and some of the character designs and stuff like that. The images I'm showing here in Monday are, again, purely for the reference of our art team to understand the tone and the type of places that I want to see them start to explore. And again, these are not our artists, and I did not show this artwork to the people we met with yesterday. So that's a good point from Jeff, is that would be a little bit cheeky to go. I've seen people do that, by the way.
Have you?
Yeah, I have seen people do that. All right, let's do a giveaway.
Go on then.
What's the question? Who do you guess the publisher is that I...
Well, that's what like the last 10 minutes of chat was. Everyone guessing stuff and who's a publisher, who publishes this, who's in the top 5.
Well, I'd like to see that in the chat now.
Okay,
so.
You can do it again. Just say what you said 10 minutes ago.
By the way, so the False Summer just said EA seems the most likely. Listen, EA's not in the top 5 of the largest publishers in the world. Okay, who I met with yesterday is very much in the top 5. I'll tell you this right now. Tencent is the #1 game publisher in the world. I did not meet with Tencent yesterday. I don't think Tencent would do this kind of deal. And so, it is a Chinese publisher. It is extremely big. It's got very deep pockets, and it does this sort of deal. So there you go. So I'm going to give you guys a moment to, it's not Tencent. Everybody, I want to tell you something about Tencent. During the 10 years that I ran Spicy Horse, Tencent nearly killed my company at least 3 times. These were not nice people. I never had a meeting with Tencent. We never had a positive interaction with Tencent. In the middle of production on Alice Madness Returns, so the way I would know that Tencent was making a move on my team was that everyone's phones would start ringing, because they would have engaged all their headhunters to try to poach our people. So I was sat there one day. We're working on Alice Madness Returns. We're probably a year into production. Everything's going along quite smoothly. People's phones start ringing, so I'm like, oh man, somebody has directed their headhunters at us. Then it starts happening that our team are one by one excusing themselves, going out, and some of them are coming back crying from wherever they've gone. And then it comes about that one of them comes to me and says, Tencent has set up a table at the Starbucks down the street, and they're giving us all job offers, and they're telling us that if we refuse the job offer, we will never in our life be able to work for Tencent. Now, for the person who this offer is made to, you have to keep in mind that their parents play a very large role in their decisions they make about money and job and life. In China, that's very normal that when you get a job offer or you're thinking about changing jobs, you go and consult with your parents. And oftentimes parents in China will push their children to go to work for the biggest, the most notable companies, because that makes them proud, right? Mm-hmm. So these people were in a real conundrum, because they really loved Spicy Horse and they really loved working on Alice Madness Returns, and they really wanted to deliver this product, but they were being threatened by Tencent to either take the job offer and abandon us mid-project, or never be able to work for Tencent again.
It's not cool.
It's really not. Now, in that one instance, the thing that saved us was EA. So imagine like a poisonous snake is coming to bite you, but you engage a poisonous spider to bite the snake, right? I mean, they both suck in their own way. But in that case, I called up EA and I said, hey, so that all the money you're investing and all the work we've done is all about to be destroyed if you don't do something. And so they freaked out. They got on the phone with whoever at the higher levels, and they said, stop, you're jeopardizing something that's very important to us. Please stop trying to destroy Spicy Horse. So they vanished for a while.
Not cool.
Not cool.
I said it before. Say it again.
Yeah.
Man, didn't know that story.
Somebody says, why did Tencent care so much? We had a really good team, and so they knew that, and they just wanted to steal all of our people. Later on, what was interesting is we did, over time, have some of our employees give in to Tencent because they were offered huge amounts of money, and they were moved down to Shenzhen. One of the best things that ever happened for us in this battle was that some of our highly respected people went to work for Tencent, and after a few months those people would call up and say, please let me come back to Spicy Horse, because life working at Tencent 7 days a week, 16 hours a day, was not worth it for them. They regretted the decision hugely. So
I'd regret that.
yeah. All right. So I'm going to. So there are a bunch of people in here. People were saying Tencent. People saying Shonda. Does Shonda even exist anymore?
People kept saying Activision.
You guys know Activision's not a Chinese publisher, right? Why would you say that? Activision, Perfect World,
NCSoft.
Somebody says NetEase, Sony, NCSoft. NCSoft is not a Chinese publisher. Sony is not a Chinese publisher. All right. A lot of people here. Octo Chicken Greg says it's either Tencent, Sony, Apple, Microsoft, Activision, NetEase, Google, EA, Nintendo. Okay. Well, Octo Chicken, he made a good list there. So that's all I'm gonna say. All right. We're gonna roll it, and it's Frecky 42.
Frecky 42.
What is a Frecky? Freaky?
I don't know.
Frecky?
That'd be weird, freaky.
Well, Freaky Frecky 42, you just won yourself a selection of one item from the Mysterious Shop Skull section. You have to browse over to mysterious.americanmcgee.com. And you're going to want to go to the skull section, and you're going to pick one of the things there, and then you're going to send an email to us at support.mysterious.design.
Support at mysterious.design.
Yes. And be sure to include your name, your phone number, your address. Do all that in a human-readable format that doesn't cause anger or discomfort for us. Make sure to mention what it is from that page that you wanted, that you select, and then we will get that mailed out to you. I'm wondering,
do this within the next 24 hours.
Oh yeah, within 24 hours. I want to know, is there anyone in the chat who previously won the art prints with the wooden magnetic things? Because I sent those out, and we have them, and they're pretty cool. And I wanted to know how they survived the journey, because the wooden magnetic things were inside the art print. And I don't know if that created damage or scuffing or whatever.
Truth Decay and Silver Jinxed.
Okay.
They won.
Did it arrive? That's the question.
Still
haven't received it. Okay.
Not to Silver Jinxed yet.
Yeah. Right.
When did you send them?
I don't know, 2 weeks ago.
Probably getting close.
Emo Nerd Queen says, I upgraded Patreon from 1 to 5. When will I have access to the Discord?
When you get charged next month.
There you go. Okay, so I think that does a pretty good job of describing the thing that happened yesterday. And I feel really good about it. I just want to make this clear. I've had a lot of meetings in China with a lot of Chinese publishers. The only other time that we had a really good meeting, a deal got done. And every other time besides that was not a very good meeting. Yesterday was a very good meeting. So I have a sense we're going to get a deal done with these guys.
Don't jinx it!
But my primary concern here is more about the technicalities than about the actuality. In other words, I'm pretty sure we can get a deal done. I want to make sure we get the deal done the right way. And I did notice that someone on Patreon had asked, well, what happens to Patreon if you do something like this? And that's a really good question.
It's a good question.
And actually, these guys yesterday that we met with asked the same question, and my response is the same. I want to keep the whole notion of crowd design going. My sense is that games and product development going forward into the future should be done in collaboration with the fans, and it turns out that those guys are really big fans of that. I'm a big fan of that. So I think on some level, the thing we know as Patreon is going to stay. I mean, maybe the format of the platform, or there's something to wiggle around on there, but having you, the fans, involved in the process has always been my goal. Even this, like once we start working towards getting a deal done, if we start building a studio, all that stuff, I want that to be a completely interactive, transparent process, and have everyone that is there in the chat also coming along for that. Lulu? Meow. Come on, cat. Where's a cat? Lulu. She's limping.
Lucky Dragon
today.
even noticed the limp on camera.
She's limping today. Yeah.
What did you do,
we
dog?
don't know. I think she was chasing a cat this morning and she gave herself a limp. Nabby Yang says, do you speak Chinese during those interviews? I did speak Chinese yesterday, but the guys that we met with both went to university in the U.S. They are Chinese nationals born in China, but they both went to university in the U.S. Their English is probably better than my Chinese by a fairly wide margin, but I did speak to them for a while in Chinese, just to prove that I can, in fact, speak Chinese. What happened to Spicy Horse, says Moon's Blessing. That's a very long story, but
Closed.
It did close. Very simple answer for a very long story is that it closed. Alrighty.
Is there a fact about that?
Yeah, I think I wrote an article about that.
No, but I mean on our YouTube fact channel.
Maybe.
Have a look over there.
I think there is. I think there's a fact over there. Okay, did I answer all the questions about the meeting that took place yesterday? Is everybody clear about that and the fact that we're gonna now push towards securing funding to build a studio to build a small AAA Oz game?
I mean, I think you were pretty thorough with your explanation.
Now, that all being said, we are going to still continue on our efforts for Asylum, because I have a very big goal in my mind, is to complete the design Bible. And that was what I was saying earlier in the conversation here, was that Alex and I finished up a very good overview of the Alice Asylum story, and a lot of that's come out of all the stuff that we've done with our insane children, talking about how the character's story is structured. I mean, how Alice relates to what's going on, the adult Alice and the child Alice. So a lot of the work we have been doing writing that stuff out has helped to solidify the nature and the structure of the story, such that Alex and I now have like this really nice complete vision for beginning, middle, and end, and now we're going to start filling in all the little pieces in between. But all of that is still going to go into a full-blown design Bible, and it is flowing into that. That's what we're using Monday for, so that there is a very big goal still of making sure we have the entire game, the entire story, all that stuff mapped out from beginning to end.
Yeah, you were quite excited about that this morning, weren't you, when you told me that it was like the story was pretty much done, it's ready for putting into book form.
That feels good. It feels good to finally know that you've capped the story for something that you've been working on for a long time, because it took me a very long time to get to a point where I felt comfortable. Lulu, I really don't need a leg bath. But it took me a very long time to get to the point where I felt comfortable in saying that I felt like we'd achieved a satisfying structure and a satisfying ending to the story. So I think we're there, and that's really good.
Woo!
Let's see. Lulu, want to say hi to everybody? Yeah, it's a Lulu.
Boop!
Yeah, it's a Lulu.
You just got booped.
Yeah, we don't know what she did to her leg. She's definitely got a limp. And that makes me very sad. All right, Martin, I think we should switch over to comments now, because I've shown off all the art. I've described what happened in the meeting yesterday. That was very positive. And yeah, I think it's time for answering the comments and questions of our insane children.
All right, let's have a look at what we've got. These ones are from the Choir of the Mind post over on Patreon. That one was about like the voices in Alice's head, giving her advice or warnings.
Exactly. So one of the things, so from this point forward, there will be spoilers. So if you don't want spoilers, I recommend that starting right now, you poke out your ears.
We do need a spoiler graphic,
right,
that we can pop up on screen.
Well, spoilers, everybody. So Choir of the Mind was an idea that that just came to me while I was trying to sort out some of the issues around the notion that we're gonna see adult Alice attempt suicide. The attempt word is very important, because she doesn't, obviously the game ends and she's not going to be successful with it, but we are going to see that she attempts it. And one of the things that has happened over on Patreon is that we've had a really good back and forth as to why that notion, that concept in and of itself, is problematic, or it's traumatic, or it's triggering, or maybe we don't feel that it's appropriate, or whatever the reason might be. I had the idea, suddenly came to me that, oh, we should take all of those voices that are arguing for and against the idea of her attempting suicide, and we should actually record them as VO and overlay them into the game so that you hear that going on. And I think it can be something that's sprinkled throughout the game, because the other thing that I hit upon that I was working with Alex on the story is that we will have the scene where we see Alice attempting to take her own life, but it will not be revealed until very, very late in the game. So it's going to be one of the things that's included along the series of events that ratchet up the stakes that Alice is facing. So early in the game, the stakes she's facing is simply to get out of denial and get to the Queen's domain and demand that her situation be improved. And then once she arrives there, she's going to learn that Wonderland is under threat from this mysterious chaos, and there's this smoke that's kind of invading everywhere. And so these are going to continue to escalate until the point where young Alice becomes aware of the fact that adult Alice, her host, has attempted to commit suicide. Now, the choir of the mind, the voices that we hear, those are going to start being dropped as hints, maybe hours before you get to the point where it's revealed, the suicide scene is revealed. And when we see the attempted suicide scene, it will be, in essence, through the eyes of child Alice as she relives the moment in which her adult self tries to take her own life. And there's going to be a whole structure around what is going to seem like young Alice collecting memories that are being destroyed by this chaos. But once we get to the point where the attempt at her life is made, there will be this shift in your perception of what's been happening, such that you'll understand that what young Alice has been seeing is adult Alice's life flashing before her eyes. So at some point, young Alice is going to start running into memories, quote unquote, that she never had, because they're from a version of her that's older than she is, right? And so that's all going to then lead into like the reintegration and the transition between the young and the adult Alice. Anyway, that's what all these comments were about.
Probably. What we got here? Colby Dawson saying, I dig the comments of the children bit, and while suicide is a touchy subject, so is rape and mental health in general. I think the smoke and fire is good. The method of suicide, the smoke and fire.
So what we're going to have her doing is putting coal on the fire in her little room, and then she's going to stop the flue. By the way, somebody asked, like, how does a flue work? So when you close or stop a flue, that's what makes the smoke stay in the room with you, and then presumably that would result in your death. So if you open a flue, it looks a lot of lets the smoke out the chimney.
Thematically, it's cyclical and seems kind of in character for Alice, both in terms of the irony of it all and the survivor's guilt. Smothered in smoke and fire is no way to treat a curious soul. Very poetic. Wendy J says, I think it would be cool to see Alice try to function through these voices, as that's how it really feels sometimes, trying to quiet the voices in your head so you can be a functioning adult human, but failing. I don't know about the communication thing between child Alice and adult Alice.
Yeah, so that question about the communication thing between the two of them was one of the points that I was struggling with, because there's a perspective issue that comes up. If we start the game from the perspective of adult Alice, and then we somehow have to transition to her inner child, which is inside of her psyche, I don't know a graceful way in which we communicate that to the audience, to the reader, to the player, because you'll always then have this notion that, oh, it's just Wonderland, oh, it's just surreal nonsense, But if we start with the child, and it's the child's journey towards the discovery of the reality of her situation, that she is, in fact, embedded within the psyche of the adult, then the reveal of that comes later as a bit of a shock, and I think it'll be much more powerful when she discovers that, when we discover that.
Okay. Lucky Dragon here, saying, I do have one thing to add. Rather than have these voices in the opening, because I don't think they are needed there, it might actually be a tad on the nose. I was more thinking that they could be heard throughout the game at various points. Like you just said.
There you go.
They're not going to be just piled on at the beginning.
That's right. So they will be something that they build up. And I think that as they build up, they will be things that are mysterious, curious, and confusing to young Alice. She'll encounter memories that she's not quite clear where they came from, why they exist, whose are they. Early on it's going to be stuff that she remembers and recognizes of her early life, but there will be a transition moment where she starts to recollect things that obviously are her, but they're from a version of her that she's not doesn't recognize.
Right. Red Briloom really likes the idea. It's a good road to take towards this. And then actually goes on and asks how a flue works. So you just said that.
Well, somebody here says that a flue normally gets closed to keep the rain, snow, etc. from falling down the chimney.
Then they started making chimneys with like covers, didn't they?
They did.
So,
and they make chimneys that have little internal angles to fix that problem as well. So there's number of reasons. I think that flues also get closed to control the way in which the fire is burning. So there's a number of different uses and mechanisms for that kind of stuff.
I do love a real fire.
So somebody is saying here they don't know if the snow globe still exists. I think that the snow globe still exists. I think that young Alice will still find herself encapsulated, trapped, whatever, within this sort of snow globe reality. So yeah, I think that's... Magna Gamer says, what if Guillermo del Toro decided to help you with writing the game?
Too late. It's been written. You snooze, you lose, Del Toro.
Okay. Yeah. What if space aliens decided to help me fund the game? I don't know, man. That sounds fine. But if he's been calling, he's calling the wrong phone number or something, I guess.
Charity Winarski? I feel this would be a great way to show Alice's struggles and triumphs if the voices were presented throughout the game. It would give some sort of incentive for Alice to move forwards through the journey to save herself and Wonderland once again. And it also is thanking us for all these comments and just the whole creation process that we're doing on Patreon. You're welcome, Charity.
So Wendy says, but isn't the whole point to set the stakes at the beginning? Yes. It's a good question, and that's why I just mentioned the concept of the stakes, escalating stakes. As I sat down to work on this, remember one of the things that first inspired me was the issue that if it were a television show and you saw the character could die repeatedly, as in Groundhog Day, perhaps the stakes wouldn't be enough to keep you engaged with the drama. So the idea was have her doing the attempt to commit suicide early on to set the stakes. Now, for a television series, I could imagine that would still be the way you might decide to write it. But for a game, I think we allow games to breathe a lot longer because there's so much other stuff that we're doing early on in a game that it's not necessary to dump something that heavy onto the player to keep them engaged. So I think there's a different way that you can pull the player into the early parts of the game through mystery, through what's going on here, and that a game you will generally allow a little bit more time to breathe. Whereas in a TV series, and again, I'm not a TV series writer, but I do know that my saying to the people we've talked to about a potential Alice TV series, that, oh, well, the stakes are, that she's trapped inside a prison of her own mind, it wasn't enough. That was the feedback I got from people that I had look at the story as we had it so far, was that it wasn't enough that everything is within her mind, that we needed to find a way to make it more potentially damaging to her world, or the world of people around her.
Jana North just thinks it's a great idea. Somebody here called Omri just says, yes, Queen.
Omri. Very funny.
Lindsay has socio-affective disorder. In March, apparently they were having struggles with voices. It's worth having a read and talking to people with psychosis. I really think could add a lot to this scene.
Well, I grew up around people with psychosis. I grew up, yeah, so I've seen comments like this that say, you know, make sure you talk to professionals who understand these issues and make sure you talk to people who've been through these kinds of things, and I agree with all of that. I'll just repeat again that I've been through these things. I've been around people who've been through these things. I've done many years of reading and therapy for myself, and consulting with people who are knowledgeable experts on these topics. So we'll continue to do that. And then, I mean, that's one of the beauties of this transparent process, is that there should be plenty of opportunities for the people, our insane children and others, to come in who are experts and give feedback and make sure that we're handling this in the right manner. The Octo Chicken Greg says, is RJ Berg involved in the writing anymore? Hasn't been mentioned in some time, and it seems like Alex has stepped into that role. No, so in the past, and I've said this before, the way that RJ's involvement works is that I will draft out the whole story. So for Alice Madness Returns, for example, we had this massive kind of board, all that, like a cork board in the office. And I would go and I'd write, and then I would settle on stuff, and then I would go and post up these note cards onto that until I had the whole structure of the Alice Madness Returns narrative, and also the breaking down of the game into different chunks and levels. And then I started going back and kind of rearranging stuff, kind of like you're seeing we're doing now. You know, okay, here's this notion that she might try to attempt suicide. We're going to maybe think about that at the start of the game. But as I started to kind of think about it and rearrange the pieces, I was like, oh, right, let's move that down here. So that whole same process happened until I had the story done. And that's why I was sort of excited recently, in that I can now, working with Alex, sit down and envision the entire story, the outline from beginning, middle to end, and a lot of the points in between. That is often the point at which I will then sit down with RJ and say, we're going to need dialogue for this. One of his core strengths, now he's a really good writer in general, but one of the things that he has always done on the Alice games is to write the dialogue. Now, I write a lot of the dialogue as well, but we tend to work as a team on that stuff. So I'll give him the whole structure, the whole story, the whole outline, all the chapters, all the scenes. I'll often write placeholder dialogue for stuff like that, and then he will go in there and he will write the dialogue proper, and then we'll do back and forth editing on that. So that would be his role on this again. He's on board. He's said that many times. He's committed and he's happy to join us for that. So we just need to get to the point where we're ready to start writing dialogue, which I imagine is going to happen in the not too distant future. But for RJ also, he's kind of like not all that inspired to write a bunch of stuff unless he's getting paid.
What?
Paid significantly. He wants to be on board of a going concern. So I'll have to talk to him about whether or not he's willing to come on board sort of pro bono, or, write some stuff now, a hamburger on Wednesday and we'll pay him back next Tuesday or something. We'll see.
There you go. Octo Chicken. There's your answer. Look at the time. It's a special time.
Oh, it's time for another prize. All right, let's do it.
It is. Oh, question. Oh, why didn't I think about any questions these last 2 weeks?
Have you seen the skies in San Francisco?
Yes, they're right there.
That is a bit mental.
I'm sure some of these have had a little filtering. Just a tad.
All right, Martin, try to downplay it because it's all over the news.
Oh, no, I'm saying it's terrible. But
I have friends living there who were messaging me and talking about it on Facebook. And
that one looks kind of more yellowy, sepia, but these ones look more red and orange.
Martin, get bent.
You get bent.
Anyway, yeah, California's on fire, and people are not really happy about it, and they don't have a lot of power. So I guess, what's the question going to be?
I was wondering, and it's got nothing to do with anything we've talked about, but what is the point of the Xbox Series S? I don't get it as a console.
I don't even know. Is this the thing they announced that's the little cheapy one?
Yeah, it's
Okay.
what's the point? I mean, it's technically next gen. It's on a different.
Is that the question?
Yeah, who's it marketed at? It's less powerful than last gen's stuff, but it's been marketed as the cheap next gen. It's that little white one at the end that looks like a speaker.
That.
Yeah. So yeah, I don't. It's cheap, and I guess it's got some grunt behind it, but I just don't know who it's for.
Maybe so many people are saying it's for people who just don't have that much money.
Then why not get the more powerful last generation's Xbox One, which I'm sure is just as cheap
it's
now.
It's cheaper, more affordable. Who knows? I don't know. I just saw the news about this morning, but I'm not a big Xbox fan.
Me neither.
Anyway, so I don't care what Xbox people do. I really don't.
I did have the thought that perhaps it's just for parents that don't know any better. So I think people should just get last generations, which is more powerful and established. But parents want to see something new on the shelf.
Well, Martin, I think
cheap.
I think you should go on the internet and tell people that opinion. You should start your own YouTube channel where you go and you're grumpy about consoles and games.
I sometimes think about doing that. Just having a little tech grump channel.
Grandpa Martin's Tech Grr.
Yeah. I'm a PlayStation guy, so I'm not buying it anyway.
All right.
But it is good that this has been announced now. The balls are rolling. Some more news comes out. It's all good. I love tech.
Have they all answered the question? I don't even know what your question was.
Some people said, poor people. Microsoft get money. Said I should educate them.
Okay.
Tech grump.
Right.
Yeah. People talked.
Tech grump.
Tech grump.
All right. Are you ready? We're going to roll it. 3, 2, 1, and it's Scary 151.
Ooh.
Congratulations, Scary. You've won a prize very appropriate to your name. It is your selection of any of the skull items over in the skull section at Mysterious. So you need to go to mysterious.americanmcgee.com, and I think on the front page of Mysterious, there's actually just a skull button.
There is.
It'll take you to the skull section. Loading very slowly here, not a good sign. It'll take you to the skull section, and from the skull section, you can then pick any one of the things you see there. You'll want to send an email to us. That's support@mysterious.design. Include your name, your phone number, your address, and what your selection is. Apparently, the site's not loading. That's great.
Oh, no.
Is that our internet?
No, we're still going strong, according to
strange.
OBS and Glasswire.
Well, anyway, hopefully our shop hasn't died. That would suck. Like our shop. So anyway, go over there, pick out a skull thing, and send us an email. There you go. Woo, good, done. Okay,
Right.
let's keep going with the comments.
Let's keep going. Super Shadow 767 asks, should there be a forum to open up for the insane children to leave comments as to why Alice should or shouldn't commit suicide? Or would that just be in the comment section of the last post? We do have the Discord.
There is a
I
Discord.
don't know what level you're at, Super Shadow. You do need to be at $5 and above. And there is actually a little section in there now for spoiler chat. So, yeah, the thing that you want exists. There you go.
There you go. Somebody here says, when are we going to get AMR made for PS4? I think that person's joking. There is an FAQ about that.
Is there?
I don't know. Whatever this Mr. Biggie, my Biggie and Thwaite, I don't know what that means.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure there's a fact for that.
Anyway, Greg says there was much discussion in the Discord over this topic. There you go.
There you go,
Just
Super Shadow.
Do it!
You're listening.
Make your dreams come true!
Somebody's playing sounds.
Yeah, what sound was that? Normally comes up. Somebody plays something.
Let's keep reading the
Oh,
comments.
just do it. Sarah Kaczor loves the idea. I think we all have our own voices always talking to us. Some of us just hide it better than others. Guess so? But I think the difference is some people, discuss stuff in their minds like you're talking to yourself, but sometimes the voices are acting independently, and that's not the good one.
Well, there's a whole school of theories on the nature of mind and the ages at which the voices in your heads assume minor / dominant roles depending on which voice it is, and the ways in which children's environments and their upbringing and their genetic dispositions and things like that lead to whichever voice it is that they hear. There's also the notion of God for humans being something that derives from the early experience with voices in our heads. So anyway, it is known that we don't just have a voice in our head, though we do, most of us have a dominant voice. But people, say, for instance, suffering from schizophrenia will, quote unquote, hear multiple voices, and they'll have the issue of not being able to separate out which is the dominant and which are the sort of minor voices. But all of us live that way. All of us live with a variety of different voices. I mean, just think about the notion of trying to convince yourself to do something. When you work to convince yourself to do something, you literally sit there and debate with yourself. And you know, who are you talking to? I mean, you're talking to yourself. So it's not that unusual. And I think actually it's healthy to have a bit of a dialogue with yourself. I know I do. And I know I recognize different voices in my mind for what they are. There's a lazy me, and there's an ambitious me, and there's a likes to, you know, have a drink me, and then there's a I want to eat expensive Indian food every day me, and, you know, whatever, right? So
I like that version. Right, Lady L says, not everyone thinks in words, though. Kind of a side note, but some don't have a distinct internal voice and think more in concepts or images or whatnot. Really fascinating stuff.
Yeah, I saw that comment, and it's made me want to go and kind of look into that a bit. So that's it. I'm going to go look into that.
This reminds me of one of the skits, not a skit really, but it was a part of the Ricky Gervais show, you know, the podcast he did, that then got turned into little, like, Hanna-Barbera looking TV series. And he was debating with Carl Pilkington about the voice in your head. And there was this whole, like, Carl was like, I was going shopping, and then suddenly I remembered that I needed onions. And he's like, who said that? Was that me? And he's like, he just blew up. He's like, who's talking in your head? You just, like, you have an abstract thought, and then you know it. You don't hear a voice say, onions.
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah, that whole topic just reminds me of that little bit from the Ricky Gervais show.
Well, there's quite a philosophical conversation that's ongoing about the notion of who it is that you are, and whether or not you have any free will or not, or whether or not decisions are made and then your mind goes and fills in the explanation for why the decision was made post fact. And anyway, the voices all link into that. You know, which voice gets to decide the excuse for the reason that a thing happened, right?
Yep. Right then, that's that. Moving on to the next one. I think we can skip through a lot of these. This was the calendar post. So yes, Brinley Marie Bagel. Calendar looks great. Enjoy the idea of adding it to the shop and just giving Patreons a discount code. Fair enough. Lucky Dragon says, looks good to me, which indeed it does. Destiny Jensen. I'm cool with the idea of having it in the shop, but I'm wondering about those of us that want more than one copy. Would it be possible to, say, get 2 at the special price? If the discount code is a percentage, we can set it up
I have a question.
however we want.
Why couldn't we just do both? Why can't we offer a discount code for Mysterious and set up the backer kit shop? Hey? I've stumped Martin. He seems broken.
Well, we could. I'm just wondering why we would.
Because some people want to do on backer kit, and some people want to do... Look, people are agreeing. There you go.
Maybe then.
Yeah. Genius American, says Wendy. Thank you, Wendy.
Is it?
Yes. Apparently so.
Shelby Temple. Love it. Can't wait to get one. Telena Brandon simply has a mighty need. It's good. I think a lot of people here just saying yes, but Serena Wells thinks $35 is fair.
So I did have somebody over on my Facebook. I'm not going to pick on them by name, but they came out and they said, "What, 35 British pounds is a lot. That's the most expensive calendar I've ever seen." And I did the math. I was like, actually, that's only like 26 pounds. And also, it does include the shipping. So technically, the calendar itself is, because the shipping's like $10 at least. So the calendar itself is not that expensive. Anyway, she didn't respond, but so I was a bit frustrated at her lack of imagination.
Not everyone can be cool like us and the insane children.
Maybe.
Razzie 317, utterly stunning, and I think the pricing is about right. All right. Jennifer also mimics that. Loving it, loves the price. Yep. So that was pretty...
Greg says, run with the complaint and make a version that's plated in gold, so it is literally the most expensive calendar ever. That's great.
We could.
Yes.
That would be heavy to ship.
My Bigian Thwaith says, seriously, can I be customer service on your Facebook page and tell arseholes to stop effing whinging about stupid stuff? Yeah, I don't know. We do that on our own. And it doesn't happen as much as you. Sometimes you need to tell F faces to just shut up. Mr. Bigian Thwaith, I think you've just failed the job interview. Because if it's just about telling them to F off, we can do that on our own. The job requires is someone like Martin who's calm and can try to be rational with them.
I like being sarcastic sometimes.
Yeah, I know. Okay. We didn't cover this. This is the latest model, and this got uploaded since the last time we did a live stream.
Let's do this then.
Yeah, so Roman does continue to work on the Alice model, and he is getting direction directly from you, the Insane Children, and also from Omri. So Omri's been working with him directly. So this version of the model is what's come up just recently, based on all those comments, and I'm pretty happy with this. I think the Insane Children are all pretty happy with it as well. I think people are still commenting on the brows, and people are seeing that the nose needs to be fixed. The chin is still a bit pointy and flat. Her cheeks are a bit too flat. What's happened there? Somebody's put a picture in there.
Formatted ooply.
Didn't work out very well.
Did not.
Love this. She looks young and not damaged. Yeah, I mean, so some of the comments that we saw online were people saying things like that the version that we had previously looked like an older woman who maybe was a drug addict or something like that. So, I mean,
it's not good.
No, she didn't look really great. And I mean, I could kind of see that as well. She looked very sickly. She looked weird. She definitely didn't look like she was 13 years old. So I'm not surprised that we were getting those kind of comments from her. But I know that Omri did up... Where did that picture go? He did up... Where's his edits? There it is. Yeah, so his edits kind of looked like this. Now, it doesn't... I'm glad her forehead didn't turn out looking like that. That looks a little bit creepy, freaky. But yeah, I think that working together, the two of them did a pretty good job. She's closer now than I think she's ever been. Now, there's going to be another round of changes on this, and he is also working on the dress. So we should expect to see a final version of the model, a few more of the changes that the Insane Children have suggested, plus the final version of this Ash dress. There was this idea that we were going to get her in a scene with the house burning down in the background and the Jabberwock somewhere in the scene. I don't know that the scene is still getting made.
Right.
One of the problems is that the two guys that we engaged on this both of them, when we engaged them, had just lost their employment, and by the time they started working on all this stuff, they had regained their employment in a new place. So it went from being something they could work on full time to being something that they were only able to work on nights and weekends. So it slowed them down a little bit.
Ooh,
That's all right,
I guess.
That's it for your comments.
Well, there was another post that I plucked the comments from, the attitudes towards self-murder
Right.
one. But I mean, people wrote an F-ton.
Yeah.
Each comment is like a paragraph.
Yeah.
So, I mean, people should head over there and have a read on that. There's a lot of good comments coming in from the insane children. I mean, look at this one here from Ina. Takes up almost an entire sheet of A4.
Well, Ina, to be fair, I did quote Ina in the main post. And another thing is that the main post itself is, it's like a book unto itself, right? So I'm not surprised that it is what it is for the comments. And obviously this has been a really big topic. Mm-hmm. It's kind of funny though, because this topic in and of itself, it was the beginning of the end for my working on the completion of the whole story, right? The making sure that I got everything done, beginning, middle, and end. So I'm quite happy about that.
All right.
Yeah.
There is an odd noise coming from behind us.
Oh, that's Lulu. Yeah, they're trying to escape the room.
Lulu trying to escape.
Lulu trying to chew her way out of the room.
10 more minutes, Lulu,
all right.
and you'll be free. With it being 10 more minutes, do we need to do some wrapping up stuff?
Yeah, I think we do, because we finished up those questions. Lulu obviously has some sort of problem that needs to be dealt with. Lulu.
She's mental. That's her problem.
Well, I'm worried about her. I think she's injured herself somehow. So we're going to wrap it up, because I think we've covered all the questions. We went through all the posts. We got through all the art. We talked about yesterday's awesome meeting. That's about it.
Yes.
Yeah, so tea time watter. That looks like teat I'm watter.
Teat I'm
Watter.
Iwata.
Yeah, so it says she needs to go potty. That might actually be the case, so we do need to get her out of here.
Maybe.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, we did cover almost everything that I think needed to be covered today. Look, I'm in a really good mood today because we had a very good meeting yesterday. Now, there's always a chance, and it's a very high chance, that these things will just suddenly fall apart. I want to also make it clear that we went into a period of kind of quietness on the front with EA due to the summer holiday in the EU. As I understand it now, those guys are getting back to work, and we should start to resume the progress that we were making towards getting something done with them. That something would then free us up to go off and make other business happen. Again, I have to be a bit nebulous about it, but the point I'm trying to make here is that we've got really good movement on several fronts. So I'm quite happy about that. Whatever happens next, I think we can say that at least something will happen. So your support and your patience and your involvement throughout all of this is always very much appreciated. It's something, I have to say, quite special to sit down in a meeting like yesterday with this group of people and to say to them, look, we have fans that are really committed to this, and show them what we're doing, and they get it. Like, they saw it, they see the interactions, they see the posts. They're actually quite amazed by what we've been able to accomplish, and they are really on board with the notion of crowd design and about building around something where the fans are involved in this fashion. So that's great, and we of course couldn't have done any of this without you guys. So very, very happy about that. Yeah, all good.
It is all good. Yeah, big thanks from us.
Yeah. So we're going to give away one last prize.
All right.
What do we think? What's the question?
It's the question.
The question was, what is that noise? That was a good one.
I know what that noise is.
Well, that's Lucky upstairs making da noises. I think we've been down here for too long. He's ready for us to reappear.
Yeah.
Well, while you think of a question, I'm going to do the things. So if you do want to support what we're doing, and like signing up for the mailing list does help because I can show potential financiers that, look, we have this giant mailing list of all these fans. That's very, very helpful. So do sign up for the mailing list. All of this is over at AmericanMcGee.com. You can follow me on social media. Again, those numbers translate into their sense of how real the situation is, how real our fans are. So you follow me on Instagram and here on Twitch, or if you're watching this on YouTube after the fact, then hit the subscribe button. Of course, we do have a Patreon. You can be a Patreon. You can be a patron for as little as $1 per month, and that does give you early access to all the posts that we put up over there, and you can comment on everything and join in on the crowd design. Of course, there's also discounts and physical goodies that are offered to our patrons. And then last but not least, and a good way to wrap up, because we're going to give away some more Skull stuff, there is Mysterious. Mysterious, I started back in 2015. Myself and my wife work inside of Mysterious to make physical goods and sell those things online. And the company has just grown and grown and grown over the years, and that's what supports our household. So I much appreciate when you buy things there, you're literally putting diapers on my baby's butt or food in Lulu's bowl. And that is very, very much appreciated from our family to our fans and people who go to that shop. So there you go. What's the question?
The question is, it's not a very good one, surprisingly. What's your favorite thing that you have bought or seen on Mysterious?
Oh, you're asking the people here, what is the favorite thing they've bought or seen at Mysterious?
Yeah.
That's kind of cheeky, but okay.
Well, you know, we were talking about Mysterious.
That is a lame question. That feels like you were planning that all along just to get people going and looking at the shop.
No.
Sometimes I feel like we're a bit too QVC, you know?
Nah.
Is it QCV or QVC?
It's QVC.
Yeah.
I think we strike a good balance.
Somebody says the hookers. Do we sell hookers?
Do we?
Martin, have you been putting hookers on our website when I'm not looking? The umbrella skull necklace set.
Speaking of umbrella, somebody did ask when we're doing those again.
Yeah, we're going to make more.
Especially, I guess, with winter coming up in the Northern Hemisphere.
We're going to make some new umbrellas. We found a really high quality factory to do that. Thing is, we just don't have a huge amount of time. So like if we did get investment from outside, it would allow us to hire more people. Like right now, we have as many people as we can really afford to have, given the two sources of income we have. Like Patreon pays for all of our artists, and then Mysterious pays for myself and Martin and Yin. To do more stuff, we need more people. What do you got there?
Soup dispenser.
The soup dispenser is very good. I like to put all my soup in one of those.
Umbrellas, plushies.
Hookers and blow.
Somebody very much likes Out of the Woods. Maybe that would be near the top of my list. I just love the Out of the Woods box. The embossing and the foiling. It's a fantastic looking little thing.
It's very nice. All right, well, we're going to do one more roll.
Yeah.
And it's Gone Bad Agnes. Didn't Gone Bad Agnes win recently?
No.
Oh, then I'm just crazy. Well, congratulations, Gone Bad Agnes. You have won with your green hair and your skeleton shirt. It seems like we've given this skull stuff to a very appropriate person who's wearing a skeleton shirt.
Quite skeleton-y.
There you go. So Gone Bad Agnes, go over to mysterious.americanmcgee.com, or you can also just punch in mysterious.design. That'll take you there too. And there is a skull section, and you can pick out one of these nifty skull things. Send an email to support@mysterious.design. Include your name, your address, your phone number. Do all that in a human-readable, non-frustration-causing way. Be sure to mention what it is from this page that you want. Items here. The soup dispenser. Quite good. And, we'll send that along to you in the mail shortly. May take a little longer to deliver, given the pandemic and all, but yeah, there you go. You won.
Right.
Congratulations.
Woo!
All right.
Something else we have to do is we're going to do the Lucky 5
Oh, go for
over
it.
on Patreon.
That's all you.
And of course, to make it fully legal and above board, we have to open it up to more than just patrons, which is why we're opening up to YouTube comments. So, Twitch people watching now, YouTube people watching later, what should they write down in the comments to be entered into the draw? They don't even know what they're going to win yet.
Soap. Skull soap dispenser.
Are they going to win that? We're going to give...
No, that's what they should write in the comments. I love skull soap.
I love skull soap.
Yeah.
All right. When this video goes up on YouTube, write I love skull soap in the comments. And we're going to do a Lucky 5 draw over on Patreon. We're actually getting further into the month than I would have liked. So we're probably going to do this, what is it now, 10, 11, 12. If you're watching this video after September 14th, don't bother, I'll have done the draw. So that's how long you've got. I love skull soap.
But as Lucky Dragon says, you always put a stupid hashtag in front of it, even though it's not necessary.
Don't write it in the Twitch comments, you silly billies. It doesn't count.
My Big Ian Thwaite said, are Freaky Fandoms not sponsors anymore? They are, but they had a bit of kerfuffle over the design of their logo. And so we kind of swirled it out, and I figured this week I would put Jennifer's very funny little pig whacking a wolf on the head thing over it. It's funny you'd ask that, because I did speak with Andrew this morning. He did say that he would like us to highlight one thing that they're working on. He's working on is the 80s horror documentary called In Search of Darkness. They do have an Instagram. It's instagram.com/80s horror doc. And that is where they promote this In Search of Darkness 2, I believe, that they're working on now. So if you like dark things...
There's a lot of good stuff there.
There is. Ooh, Bruce Campbell.
Ghoulies, Nightmare on Elm Street, Pumpkinhead, or Vengeance the Demon, as it was called when I saw it.
Wow.
Phantasm.
Is that a very young...
thingy?
It's,
Lord of the Rings dude.
Rings. Yeah, yeah.
What's he called?
Man, I've forgotten now. Is that Bad Brains? Is that what that movie was?
Bad Taste.
Bad Taste.
Maybe.
That must have been Bad Taste.
Open the image.
No.
Go on.
You don't tell me what to do.
Get it done.
Peter Jackson.
Yeah.
Yes. So yes, that was a very, very good movie. And that was Peter Jackson way before Lord of the Rings. If you didn't know it, Peter Jackson started off making splatter gore horror movies. But if you go and follow this...
Brain Dead.
Oh, that one's Brain Dead.
Right.
Okay. Anyway, if you follow this Instagram, you would know that.
You would.
There you go. So that I know that Andrew and Deborah are up to all kinds of good stuff these days, but they are retooling, revamping their logo and their site and all that kind of stuff. So in the meantime, we've got Pig murdering a wolf and wearing his skin. There you go.
There you go.
All right, everybody.
Cool. Is that it? So we tell people to get bent and jib it up.
They can get bent and they can jib it up, and we will be back in 2 weeks, hopefully with lots of more interesting art and news and all kinds of good stuff. So,
see you later.
Farewell. Bye-bye.